I'm going to keep wishing for great comic books in high grade shipped to me with no damages in transit. Can I keep this streak going? All right, I have an unboxing of comic books for you today. This is another order from Midtown Comics, and it's another order that I put together after items on my wish list started popping. I started getting those notifications, and I talked about this in my last unboxing video for Midtown Comics. I make heavy usage of the wish list feature on their site, and it's almost like a little Christmas morning. Every morning I think during the week, more or less. I don't know if I get weekend notifications, but it seems like Monday through Friday, around 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Pacific, I get an email like clockwork from Midtown saying we have items back in stock that you've added to your wish list, and I jump right on them. I buy them early. I don't let them sell out throughout the day. I grab them, buy them, check out the door, and then wait for the books to arrive. A lot of these too, are either maybe they're restocked and the price is adjusted, meaning they're selling it for a little bit more, and then they slap that limit one per customer on it as well. So they fully understand that these books are more in demand. They are more valuable on the secondary market. And of course, it's Midtown's right to raise those prices. And if it's still within a range that I feel is still good value, I'll jump on those books and grab them. Again, I want to take possession of them. I want to make sure they're in high grade. And the question that I have is, if you're interested in the book and you didn't pre-order, and Midtown puts it back in stock for $15, and they send it to you in a 9.6 or 9.8 quality, is that okay? I mean, are you comfortable with that if you want to acquire the book, or are you going to get upset that it's not $3.99 and you want it in the 9.6, 9.8 range? Because that's what eBay is charging, and for the most part, I hesitate to buy straight from eBay with a book like that, for example, because I feel like they're cherry picked. So the 9.8s and 9.6s are set aside. These are books that maybe somebody pre-ordered, 10, 20, 50 copies. They're cherry picking the 9.8s or the 9.6 to 9.8 candidates, and then they're throwing the 9.4s and below back on eBay at that $15 price tag. So the question that I have for myself and for you is, if on average, if we're looking at the data, when the books are not damaged in transit, which I haven't had any so far, knock on wood, in 2022, but if they're not damaged in transit and the average grade of the book you're getting from Midtown is in that 9.6 for new releases, aren't you willing to pay more if the book is valuable on the secondary market and you don't have it, or you want to acquire an additional copy? Isn't that all right? I mean, I'm always willing to pay more for higher grade. I want more higher grade 9.8 candidates in my collection than not. And so that's where I jump in and I end up paying a little bit more for these books. Now, and I want to start unboxing this so we can show you what you got. So I'll show you the books that's inside. We'll do a little order analysis. And if I feel so inclined, maybe I'll jump in and grade a few as well. I just want to examine and make sure that these books are not damaged. And like I said, I've been very fortunate so far with Midtown this year. The books have been high grade, high quality, and I'm going to keep buying from them until there's a problem with one of the orders. But so far, so good. So let's unbox this order and take a look at what I got. Okay, here we go. This is the order from Midtown Comics, sent in their standard cardboard box. So let's get this unboxed and open and take a look at the comics inside. Okay, here we go. This is the paper bag that the comics come in. And this is a fairly small order, or small for me anyway. All right, so let's take a look and see what books I picked up from Midtown. The first one is a slam dunk home run for me, and I was so happy to see this one pop back in on my wish list. And this is Star Wars Crimson Reign #2. These are the Knights of Ren Raza covers. The one that I'm missing right now is issue #1, so I'll be looking out for that one. But this is the connecting variant. So essentially, I believe it's 1 through 5. I think there's 5 covers. And when they're all connected, it's going to make a pretty beautiful black and red connecting variant set. So I want to open this up too so we can take a look. And typically what happens is if one book is damaged, they're all damaged. So let's take a look at the quality of this one just as an example. So the spine looks pretty good, and I'm going to use the light here to shine right in the spot that we're looking. A little bit of fraying, and this is very typical of new releases, especially from Marvel. You've got right there by the staple, just some splitting on the spine, but that's okay. That's allowed as far as when you're looking for 9/8. The corner is a little bit of an issue, but I would say it's right on the verge or right on the edge of acceptable. But I'm going to leave that as okay. Like if that's the greatest defect, we're still in the range of 9/8. There are a few non-color breaking ticks right in there. They're very subtle, very subtle. I think we're still okay. Kind of borderline 9/6 right now. That corner looks all right, but no significant damages. Like you don't see the corner crunch or impact crunch. However, there is slight damage right here to this corner, and this is going to be tough to show. It's, let me see if I can move it here, but right there, there's a little bit of a bend. So honestly, this is where I would give this a modern quick press just to fix it up. So this is probably a 9/6, but looks pretty good elsewhere. So I don't see, pretty cool Inyuk Lee ad on the back. But anyway, back to this book. There's no other real folding or spine pushing here. A little bit of something around that staple right there, as you can see once the light hits it. But all in all, not bad. So again, to have this book 9/6, that I think I can clean up a little bit. I would even question whether or not it needs a press. It's just right there. That corner is just bothering me a little bit. But I'm happy to have this book 9/6 again, just a quick press, little cleanup, and pop it right back into a 9/8. So I don't see any damage in transit per se on this one. So I'm pretty confident that the rest of the books will be all right as well. All right, I'm going to put this back in the bag and board just to make sure I don't inadvertently cause any damage to it. So again, those books are sold out and starting to heat up. So I'm glad that I got a wish list alert for that one. Star Wars High Republic 14. We are winding down on the High Republic series. 15 is the final issue, and then they're going to go ahead and not reboot it, but start another chapter with issue #1. There's several limited series also going on right now with High Republic, so lots of activity there. We are probably months away from an official High Republic announcement of some kind. This was the whole concept that Disney was putting together to go ahead and get some of this in either animated or live action form. So that'll be very interesting to see going forward. But this was kind of in my hiatus for pre-ordering. I probably missed out on issues 12, 13, and 14. So I wanted to grab 14 so that I could have a full run of High Republic. This one is backwards, so let's open this up and see what's inside. Yes, so this is Invincible Red Sonja, and this is the Carla Cohen Virgin variant cover. Yeah, so this is Invincible Red Sonja #7, and we can take a look at the quality here. Unfortunately, with Dynamite, the paper is so odd that it's really tough to get a very perfect a book with like just that's perfect, doesn't have any wrinkles, it's completely smooth. This one is certainly looking like it could be, which again is super rare, but there it is right there. So right in here, there's that dent that would have to be pressed out. So right in there, that's going to keep it from being a 9.8. Let's see if there's any of those little dimples of some kind. There's another one right on the back. So this would definitely need a press. I'm probably giving one grade loss per dimple. There's a couple little notches there on the side. So I'm probably going to give this a 9.4 with the press, just because there's just a slight wrinkling everywhere through this paper. I mean, I might be too nitpicky there. It may just be a 9.6 with the press. So I'll take a look at it. I feel like with the notches there too, that's tough because those aren't really going to come out. Those might be considered color breaking. So I'll have to think about that. Let me know what you would give that book, if you'd give it a 9.6 or a 9.4. Either way, it does need to be pressed. But I remember people were talking about how they pre-ordered this and everything. And, I just did a video on whether or not pre-orders are worth it, because I think I paid about the same as I would have if I pre-ordered it. So I just waited for those wish list alerts to come in and jumped on it. And I got 2 of them. So this is the second copy. And let's see if it has the same dimpling. And it does right there. So there it is again. So right now, again, we're talking 9.6 territory. At least the rest of the book looks pretty good. I don't see. And then in the back, I would expect the same. Yep, right there. So I wonder what that is. Probably just how the books were stacked or something. I don't know. Maybe a machine grabbed the books or something and pressed in there. This one does not have although right in there, it's just subtle. It has kind of the same problem again, but the notches are not as deep as the other one. So this one I might put a 9.6 with a press, and the other one maybe a 9.4. Something like that, just to be fair. But I feel like this is going to be one of those covers that you kind of look back on and go, okay, that's not a photograph of some kind. Obviously, if it was, it'd be pretty painful. But at least in the rendering of Red Sonja there, looks almost like a photograph. Now, this one's interesting. This is where I recommend putting books, released within the last 5 to 10 years, also on that wish list, because you just never know. This is Swordmaster #1. So this is not the first appearance of the new Iron Fist, but it is his first solo series. And again, if you can't get the first appearance, then you want to look for the first solo series. For this one, I thought I just noticed something in the spine, but I think it looks good. I think it just has a general, just slight curl, which if the book is pristine and it has that curl, and the curl has that, it's kind of a well. So it's not a crease, but it's just that little bit of an up and down. If it is significant, I drop it from a 9.8 to a 9.6 and then indicate that it can be pressed if everything else is perfect. You can take a chance and send it in to CGC as is. They may look at a book like that and say, well, that's manufacturing. But that comes right out with a quick press. It's nice and easy. There's just a couple of little non-color breaking spine ticks there, which again justifies the 9.6 on it. So not bad. Again, probably not necessary. It's probably a 9.8, but anytime it has that little well around the spine where it looks like books are just stacked on top of each other, I like to just give it a 9.6 and indicate it could it'd be worthy of a quick press. And with a quick press, those are the kind of like that real quick 5-minute variety. So it doesn't take too much time. And then you're pretty much guaranteed the 9.8 once the well is removed. Family Tree, I buy this a lot. Midtown has this in stock quite a bit. I sold a 9.4 raw and I'm shaking my head a little bit. Like I wasn't exactly sure why I did, why it sold. This one looks to be kind of similar to Swordmaster, just has a little bit of a well here around the spine, but good otherwise. Corners are right on that range of acceptable, just a little touch of whitening right there, but not bad. And same with this corner. See if I can kind of just fix it with my thumb. There, I think I did. Now it looks just fine. So right in that acceptable range. So again, this one's tough. Has a little bit of color rubbing on the spine there. It's probably going to keep it from a 9.8. So this is one that will come back in a 9.6. And you can imagine, like when these books are stacked on each other, and the ink and the paper quality, they probably all have some sort of color rub like that right along the spine. That's not impossible to get out, but would be very tough to get out. So this one is probably a 9.6 as is. It's really great otherwise, but I keep grabbing those because of the option news. I think a month ago they talked about this book as kind of an update on Image properties, and they're like, Family Tree is coming for sure. And then the book didn't spike, but maybe had like a 10 or 15% gain on it. So I have a few loose copies and a graded copy of that just in case it does turn into a legitimate project. This one, I grab this fairly often as well. This has ties to Silk and Silk's first appearance. So she has like a couple of cameos before she first appears, and I grab this one quite a bit. And again, this is where like these Marvel Nows, sometimes you can still find them at Midtown. Seems to suffer kind of the same thing. Maybe the well is not as prevalent as the others, but a little bit of a spine issue right there. Not color breaking, so that would come out. These red corners are kind of tough, and sometimes what I do is if I see them and they're soft, I'll just kind of take my thumb and see if I can just kind of push them back into place. You know, that's such an eyesore. I'll just kind of do that. It's not as bad, but still. Sometimes you can get away with that if the book is pristine. Otherwise, looks pretty good. So this one I would probably, well, there's, as soon as I said probably a 9.8, then we also have a spine issue on the back. And I don't like to gamble with the mood of the grader to say, well, if the grader's in a good mood, this is a 9.8, and if the grader's in a bad mood, it's a 9.6. I try to just be honest and say, well, it needs to be fixed. And there's two fairly significant spine ticks that I wouldn't want to risk if I were to send this in. So this is another one that's 9.6 that would be in need of maybe a press and a little bit of tack iron work, and that comes right out. Okay, Hulk number 4. Take this out and kind of turn it around. This is continuing the Donny Cates run. I am reading this, and it's pretty wild, as typical with Donny Cates. He just kind of goes all out. The Ryan Ottley art is fantastic. I feel like they're a great pair, the two of them, because as wild as Cates' writing is, like that Cyclops getting his head blown off, as wild as it is, Ottley's art is so dynamic that it kind of fits. It's a really, really good match here. So, yeah, just Hulk just going nuts. You have Ross, Banner, everybody involved. Now the Marvel Zombies, like it gets pretty nuts. Whether you're a fan of Cates or not, I would say Ottley is just such a good pairing for him and his writing. So I'm on board with Hulk. You know, whatever comes with either a symbiote Hulk, and I always love the nicknames. People are calling him Nulk, Black Hulk, things like that. How about Bulk? I haven't heard that one, but I thought Bulk would be kind of a fun nickname for the assumed character that is being developed behind the scenes here in this story. Kind of in a similar way that Null did originally come about. Oh, and let's check the condition here. This one again has that corner, and I may have just been able to fix it there, and now the whiteness has kind of gone away. Sometimes you can just grab these corners and just kind of push them back together, and the split doesn't seem as obvious. Yeah, this one looks pretty clean. Some gentle, non-color breaking spine ticks. There's no well in this one. So this one looks like it could be a 9.8 candidate. And yes, it is. I don't see really any problems with this one. That wrinkling is, again, that's typical of the Marvel paper. So that doesn't necessarily need to be pressed out unless it's really severe. But this one's, I would say, just under that acceptable range. You could argue this one right here is potentially bad enough to press, but you could see it's super wrinkly all around, just typical of the Marvel papers. So I leave those alone, and I call them a 9.8 because there is awareness at the professional grading companies that the paper just is what it is. Last book in the order, Darth Vader number 20. Again, limit 1 per customer. It only means limit 1 per order. So don't feel like well, I bought this one before, so I can't order it again, they're going to take it out of my order. They do not. So this is my second copy. I pre-ordered the Beskar border, so I've got a few of those coming, but I missed on these, so I'm grabbing these one at a time. Trying to find them in 9.8. Unfortunately, where is it? Right there. That spine tick might prevent it from being a 9.8 all by itself. It's possible I could get that out. So I'll probably mark this 9.6 with the ability to improve it with a press. Similar to Hulk 4, I don't see any other problems other than the general waviness on this one. So not too bad. Yeah. And again, if that's the only defect, sometimes that passes right there, and you'll get a 9.8 with that. But it is a little bit of an eyesore too. If you're kind of holding the book right there, you can see it right there in the light. It is a touch of an eyesore. So that's where, just a little bit of tack iron work just smooths. And a lot of times if you apply a little bit of humidity, the book just kind of releases right there and opens up. And it disappears just from the humidity itself. But then you don't want to leave the book wrinkled, so you'll want to press it out and use the iron. So a nice little small order of great books. I leveraged the wish lists for many of these. So let's look and see at what I paid for the books, and see if from a fair market value perspective, if I overpaid, underpaid, paid fair market value. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is the order breakdown. This was an order that I placed, and I do this a lot. Valentine's Day, February 14, 2022. I paid $9.34 in tax, but did unlock the free shipping. So it was $107.48 for this entire order. So I put in the grades. I went ahead and graded High Republic 14. I didn't grade that as I was doing the unboxing. It had a couple of just little nicks on the spine where it almost looked like the paper had come up, and they were very tiny. So not pressable defects, but small enough that it's still, the rest of the book was it was in great shape. So I gave it a 9.6. So the average grade of these books, they were 9 total in the order, was a 9.6. There was one 9.4 and one 9.8, and the rest were 9.6s. So 9.6 quality from Midtown, very good, very high. Again, this is what I'm expecting when there is no damage in transit. Several of the books could even be pressed to further improve that grade. So in terms of adding value to my collection based on the current market price, we see here that the cover price fair market value here in column U, as it compares to column Z, my total cost for each book, and that's with that the tax distributed across each of the 9 books. So that's why the cost of each book is a little higher than the actual price that they list it for. Here we can see that for the most part, if you're looking at the sum of column AA, raw profit, raw value add, I gained $12.65. Mainly this was because of that Crimson Rain number 2. Being able to get that at cover price, so that was a $5.03 purchase, and the current fair market value of that book is $19.09. In that 9.6, hopefully smoothed out a little bit into a 9.8, that would be great. But that's really where the bulk of the value add came from that specific book. The rest were, give or take $1 here or there. It was pretty much at fair market value. It looks like I overpaid on Swordmaster #1, and I just checked too. I paid $10.04. It was $9 cover, or $9 list price, excuse me. And I just checked because I wanted to see if they had any additional copies in stock. And as of recording right now, it's come down $1. It's actually $8. Maybe it's because of the 20% discount they have going on right now. But $8 or $9 for that book. The fair market value is $6.70, so you might want to look elsewhere other than Midtown. But again, if you're looking at trying to get a 9.8, then it might be worth paying the extra few dollars for it. In terms of CGC profit, yes, a couple of the books were older. They did have some GPA value here. ASM #2 in a 9.6 is $36. Again, I would have lost money had I sent that to CGC. Same goes for Family Tree. This $10, I think that was my sale. I think I had a 9.6 and I just put it up for auction and it ended at $10 because I just wanted to get rid of it. So again, that one not a good idea to send that one into CGC. But overall, a value add of almost $13 just for these books. And again, I'm leveraging the wish list feature in order to get the books that I missed out on, or books that I want to acquire additional copies of. I go in there, and if I spend the time to search for the books and I'm there and I see it's sold out, I make sure I'm signed into the site and I hit add to wish list. So these are the kind of orders that I'm putting together with Midtown. It's 8 to 12 books, trying to unlock free shipping, getting a few books that I missed. And what I do is, if I get a wish list alert on a book and I add it to my cart and I only have a few books in there, it depends on really the priority and the urgency around acquiring the book. Is it something that is red hot in the market and I have to have it now? Then I try to scramble and kind of find some other books that maybe I could fill in the order to unlock free shipping. Occasionally, in a rare occurrence, I will just buy a couple of the books that show up on the wish list and buy it now and pay for shipping. I really try not to do that because, again, when you're factoring in, if you look at like my TFA orders and you factor in all of the fees and you put that into the cost of the book, it does inflate your buy-in. So a lot of times what I'll do is, if it's a book where I'm like, yeah, I'd like to have it, but it's okay if I miss it again, or if I have a copy, or for some reason I'm just not feeling that there's no sense of urgency to acquire the book, I will just keep adding to the cart and adding to the cart. And I do this on Atomic Avenue as well. I find a few books I like, I add it to the cart. Your cart is saved, so you can always sign back in later, and you just keep adding to the cart, until on Midtown you see the total number of books in the little label that's right near the shopping cart icon. When that turns green, you've unlocked free shipping. So I just keep slowly adding books throughout the week. And then once I've got enough in there and the value hits, and then sometimes when I go to check out, it does say, hey, a book that you've added to the cart has been sold, or it's sold out. And then it turns red again, and you kind of have to go back and wait for the next day or find some other books. But that's kind of what I do. And I feel like if I miss the books again, it's okay. If it's urgent that I acquire them, then I have to decide whether or not it's worth paying for shipping. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.